Hello, it's Sarah here, and today I've got another video for you from the Able Diabetic. It's fantastic to see you again. I thought that I would spend a few moments talking about where my mantra came from. My mantra is share, enjoy, empower, and it came out of the writing of the book that I've written for diabetics and the people around them. Share, enjoy, empower sums up what I think all diabetics need to take to heart. But I have to say that without writing the book, I wouldn't have come to the conclusions that I've drawn that are encapsulated within that mantra. And I think it's worth just explaining a little bit what I mean by that. Also, I would say that writing the book has been a phenomenal experience for me personally, and although I've written it for the benefit of other people, I certainly have benefited from it in terms of the reflections that I've had about my own life and my own experience. So let me talk a little bit about that. First of all, share. I have spent most of the almost 30 years that I've been a type 1 diabetic not really sharing what it's like to be a type 1 diabetic. That is not to say that I haven't had quite the open approach with other people, because I've always thought it was important to tell people I'm diabetic and to be, frank about the fact that this is a condition that I live with. Certainly, for example, colleagues, I've often said to people, I'm type 1 diabetic and that's why, something is happening. But that's not the same thing as sharing, I don't think. Sharing is a much, much deeper thing where you talk about not only what it is, but also how it impacts you. And I think that I've learnt much more deeply through my reflections that sharing how things do affect you is a really important part of being a kind of functioning diabetic. It's all too easy to feel the burden upon yourself as being yours and yours alone. And I would say that it's really, really important to explain to people that having to manage the diabetes in the context of work, meals, going out, exercise, loads and loads of things that we do in our day-to-day lives, managing it really requires a little bit of kind of extra understanding on the part of the people that we're with. And I think one of my big misses is that I haven't shared enough, and that people don't really understand, what I'm going through all the time. So that's where that came from. The second thing is enjoy. This is perhaps a little harder to explain in a way, but I think if you go back to my early years as a diabetic, at that point in time, I kind of had an approach to my diabetes, which was that, okay, it's here, and I have to deal with it, and I will deal with it. I will control it. I will control it so well. I'll be so restrictive about the way that I handle it, so disciplined that it's under control, and it therefore doesn't spill out into the rest of my life. And I tried that for a few years, really. That was very much my guiding principle. And I discovered that actually it's not going to work. Diabetes is too much part of every single minute of every single day. And you can't kind of deal with it and park it in the corner because it does affect everything. And although it's taken me a very, very long time to realise it, that's it. It's in the fabric of your life. And what did that mean for me? Well, it meant that I kind of went from the really kind of disciplined thing to a bit of a bounce into a few years of being a little bit less disciplined and a little bit more focused on pleasure and enjoyment. But actually what I learned from that was that, yes, life is not really much value at all if you're not enjoying it. So you do have to put whatever it is that fulfills you out of life front and centre, and make the diabetes kind of work alongside that. I think to do it the other way misses the point. Things don't work if you're not making your life work for you. So ensuring that you are enjoying life, I think that's a really, really key principle. The third thing is empowerment, and clearly, you know, in writing the book, I am trying to empower other people. I'm trying to show people how I've lived and to learn from my mistakes and to hopefully, you know, be able to follow the things that maybe I've got right and have found more easily manageable. But I'm very mindful that the diabetic journey is not an easy one, and I know from you know, from people I've come across over the course of the last 30 years that some people really do have trouble getting to grips with the fact that this is an all-encompassing, always present condition. It's a really very big thing to take on. And I think for me, you know, the key to being able to get your mindset right, to be able to handle this lifelong challenge, is all about doing it on your terms. You know, you do have to get to a place where you're comfortable with, you know, you're not a lesser person for having this condition. You've got to be able to kind of look at yourself and say, you know what, I know what I want to do, and I'm going to do it this way. And that takes account of my diabetes. I will ask people to make compromises and adjust their own perspectives. But, you know, this is me. And if I can get a few people to get more of a sense of empowerment through this book, then I will be very happy with the job that I've done. So there you go, a few thoughts on share, enjoy, empower, absolutely at the heart of the way that I think about my diabetes, and something that I wouldn't have come to without writing the book. The book will be available very shortly, available through Amazon, and in the meantime you can go to my YouTube channel, The Able Diabetic, and also to my website. So thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you again soon.